as protests rage on in Bangladesh, the police have received a shoot-on-sight order amid the violent clashes in the country. Meanwhile, the death toll has risen to 133 as thousands others are injured. The protesters have taken to the streets of fear of losing job opportunities. They contend the 30% reservation given to the descendants of the freedom fighters and demand to scrap this provision. The demonstrators are demanding the quotas to be replaced with a merit-based system. Protesters have stalled trains, blocked highways and torched the government buildings. They have earlier stormed the headquarters of the state broadcaster, Bangladesh Television, and also set fire to the National Disaster Management Agency in Dhaka. Meanwhile, facing mounting pressure from the Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has also cancelled her diplomatic visits to Spain and Brazil. Now, she has earlier also condemned the violence, claiming that the events have caused her great distress. She has also stated that some elements are taking advantage of the movement to fulfill their ambitions and that terrorists have created anarchy by using the movement. Remember, she has earlier branded these elements as Razakars. This loaded term often evokes an emotional response among the people of Bangladesh. Razakar refers to the family of paramilitary force that collaborate with the Pakistan Army during the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War. It refers to the pro-Pakistani Bengalis who were against the separation of East and West Pakistan in 1971. Viewers, we are seeing a division in Bangladesh between the party that helped from the country and those that oppose it. With this, we ask, is the opposition to the Awami League today merely an internal political issue, or are elements operating on Bangladesh soil, a pro-Pak lobby in particular, that is influencing this movement? Well, joining me at this moment to give more perspective and details on this very important story that we are monitoring very closely is Robinder Sachdev, who is an international expert. We appreciate you joining, sir. As you have also heard, the statements that are coming from the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, saying and referring the demonstrators as Razakar evokes a very emotional appeal. But in the context of such a big chaos and unrest that's unfolding in the country nationwide, how do you see these statements essentially giving out an impact to the people and especially the families also, which the protesters are also protesting for?
I think, firstly, these protests which are going on, the student protests regarding the quota, in my view, from way I look at it, these are now going beyond the narrow issue of the quotas. The quota itself is definitely something, which is not welcome by a large number of students, it seems. There's a large, unemployment is running very high in Bangladesh. The economic condition, inflation is running high also, these two things. Now, the quota system, as you said very well, is, the families of the quote-unquote freedom fighters of the Bangladesh freedom movement, who are, assured of up to 30% of jobs in the government. So that's one bit. But what is happening is, I think, other vectors or other factors, to some of which you alluded right now also, are also mingling or co-mingling with this movement. One is, of course, especially Pakistan and Pakistan's agencies or their interests or pro-Pakistani elements in Bangladesh. But even before that, the issue is Hasina has been in power for the last 14, 15 odd years. She has ruled with a heavy hand. She's a great friend of India, but that should not take away from the fact that she is stifling democracy in her own country. The last elections, which were to be held in January or so, right, recently, the opposition boycotted the elections. And fair enough, she went ahead and now she controls the parliament again. The military is completely with her. The military, by the way, we talk about the military of Pakistan being corrupt and, making big money post-retirement. The Fauji Foundation of Pakistan, which runs private enterprises, cinema halls and, theaters and banks and all. The Bangladesh military is no different than the Pakistan military in terms of all of those factors. Okay, so the Bangladesh military has a cozy situation and they're cozy with Hasina. Now, that said, yes, in Bangladesh, the opposition, and it's Pakistan, but I look at it more like, uh, a growing momentum for a Islamic change. Remember, the opposition, they're asking for, more Islam in their daily lives. The opposition party, let's say that way, right? I'm not talking the radicals, right? The radicals want to go even further. And those radicals which are there are definitely aided and abetted by the Pakistani, especially let's say the intelligence ISI or their, well-wishers or those who want to go closer to Pakistan. The roots of this, one section of the roots goes back to the War of Liberation of Bangladesh, exactly. There was a certain section of people in Bangladesh who did not want a separate country. They wanted much more to continue with Pakistan, to be Pakistan, East Pakistan itself, and have Islam as the dominant religion, right? And those are the people who fought against the liberation and with the Pakistan army, to whom, Sheikh Hasina refers as the Razakar. So definitely that's a term, let's say a traitor or something like to the state. So I think what's happening is a cocktail. It's a dangerous cocktail which is brewing in Bangladesh. High employment, student unrest due to these quotas, especially, and in the wings, the radical Islamic elements waiting to create or fish in troubled waters and to create more troubles for this regime. And to top it, to cap it, a democracy or any democracies with whatsoever their faults are still the one way of, organizing our nations. If there are no democratic outlets for the opposition, then it builds up like a pressure cooker and it bursts sometime. In Bangladesh, to some extent, I see that happening, that whatever be the opposition, as long as within the framework of non-violent and, you may have opposing views, as long as, so if the opposition in Bangladesh is not getting its space in the democratic process, I see dangers ahead for Bangladesh.
Another updates that are coming from Bangladesh, even as the violence sees no signs of quelling. Around 1,000 Indian students have returned home through various ports, land ports and flight ports. Around 778 Indian students have returned via the border crossings and 200 via the flights. India has maintained that the matter is an internal issue in Bangladesh, while expressing that it is monitoring the safety of 15,000 odd Indians in our neighboring country. The Ministry of External Affairs has informed that Indian nationals in Bangladesh are safe, and our embassy in Dhaka is in touch with the concerned officials in Bangladesh. We have seen how the Ministry of External Affairs works round the clock to ensure the safety of Indians and Indian nationals, whether in Sudan, Ukraine, Israel or Afghanistan. The rescue operations held are testament to this. My colleague Pia joins us from the newsroom to set a context as to what is happening at the border crossings.
Indeed, Simran, right here I have a map to set a context as to where exactly the Indians who are returning back from Bangladesh are crossing through. Now, Bangladesh is right here in the middle, and bordering it are the Indian states of Tripura, of Meghalaya and West Bengal and Assam over here as well. Currently, there are 3 such border crossings that are operating. Right here in Tripura, this is the Akhaura border crossing. From here, the people and the students who had returned have gone to the capital of Agartala in this state. They've been given appropriate food and water facilities by the Indian army that is stationed over there, as well as our border security forces over there. But apart from this, there are 2 other crossings, this time on the West Bengal side of Gede and Benapole. These are located towards the southwest of Bangladesh in particular, and the eastern side of West Bengal. Right here you can see also a couple of those visuals right over there of the students returning. As you've already told our viewers, about 778 such students have in fact made use of the land border crossings to return back. So this is to set a context as to how exactly they've returned. You can see right here in the middle of the screen is Dhaka, that is the capital of Bangladesh. This is the epicenter of the protest. The protest had broken out at the Dhaka University University right on the 1st of July itself. It took about a week or so for them to intensify. There was a Bangla Bandh that was a nationwide protest, a nationwide strike that was in fact declared on the 7th of July, and post that and ever since then we've been seeing the protests intensify further and further, and the death toll rising every single day. It currently stands at 133. These are updated figures that we are getting, but amidst all of this, India has made its stance extremely clear. We have in fact made it clear to the world that yes, it is an internal issue as far as we are concerned, and it is up to the government of Bangladesh to tackle these protests as they see fit. Meanwhile, we are keeping an eye out on the 15,000 or so Indian nationals who are in Bangladesh. Currently, the Ministry of External Affairs has shared an update on its website. They have in fact informed that 200 other students have returned earlier via flight via Dhaka and Chittagong. So there were two flights that were operating, one from Dhaka, the other from Chittagong, and they have returned safely as well. Meanwhile, 4,000 or so Indian students are living over there. Currently, they are pursuing their higher education. Of course, means currently to repatriate them are being explored by the government, but currently these three are the land border crossings that are being used. Back to you.
Colleague Ranik Datta has spoken to some Bangladeshi people who came to Kolkata for medical treatment but now are doubtful about how they are going to return to their country. Out of these people, my colleague has also spoken to a person who comes from the family of freedom fighters. Let's now listen in to the conversation.
बांग्लादेश का परिस्थिति दिन पे दिन बिगड़ रहा है और उसी बीच में बांग्लादेश छोड़कर बहुत सारे लोग कोलकाता में आ रहे हैं ट्रीटमेंट करने के लिए, बहुत सारे खुद का काम करने के लिए। ऐसा ही लोग हम लोगों के साथ है। दादा, आपका नाम क्या है?
मेरा नाम दिलवर हुसैन।
तो दादा, आप कब आए बांग्लादेश से कोलकाता?
अभी आया।
आज ही आए
जी अभी।
तो क्या मकसद लेकर आए हैं, क्या क्या पर्पस है कोलकाता आने का?
मेरे का ट्रीटमेंट करने का, हमारे कमर में दर्द है, लेकिन बांग्लादेश का हालत बहुत अच्छा नहीं है। उधर बहुत आंदोलन चल रहा है और स्टूडेंट लोग उसका दाबी मानने के लिए रास्ता में खड़ा हुआ। अभी तो 144 धारा जारी हुआ, उधर बहुत हंगामा हो रहा है। हम लोग विलेज में था, विलेज से आया, हम लोग का बॉर्डर के पास ही हम लोगों का घर, लेकिन शहर का सिटी का हालत हम लोग को उतना पता नहीं आ रहा है। लेकिन नेटवर्क नहीं है हम लोगों का, नेटवर्क मोबाइल का नेटवर्क नहीं है, लेकिन वो जो इंटरनेट के कनेक्शन अभी काट गया, तो बांग्लादेश के साथ अभी तक कोई कनेक्शन नहीं किया।
तो परिवार के साथ बातचीत कुछ हुआ? उधर का परिस्थिति क्या है, मालूम पड़ा कुछ?
अभी आया, उधर का हालत अच्छा है। हम लोगों के ग्राम में इतना प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, इधर अच्छा है, लेकिन उधर का क्या हुआ हम लोग को पता नहीं है, शहर में क्या हो रहा है।
तो आपको क्या लगता है इस तरीके का जो मूवमेंट चल रहा है बांग्लादेश में, आपको क्या लगता है कि जल्द से जल्द शांत होने के लिए क्या क्या करना चाहिए, क्या होना चाहिए?
ये तो बहुत खराब बात है, लेकिन स्टूडेंट लोग जो मांग रहे हैं वो देना चाहिए गवर्नमेंट को। मैं भी एक फ्रीडम फाइटर का घर का है, वो मेरा बाबा एक फ्रीडम फाइटर, लेकिन मेरा अभी मकसद है वो लोग जो मांग रहे हैं देना चाहिए, लेकिन हम लोग क्या करेंगे, हम लोग तो कुछ नहीं बोल सकते।
और भी बहुत सारे लोग कोलकाता में बांग्लादेश आते हैं सिर्फ ट्रीटमेंट कराने के लिए। मैं एक बार दिखाऊंगा कि बहुत सारे लोग हॉस्पिटल के बाहर बैठे हुए हैं और ट्रीटमेंट करने के बाद वो लोग बांग्लादेश में वापस जाने का प्लानिंग तो कर रहे थे, मगर किस तरीके से वो पहुंचे, किस तरीके से वो जाएगा, यही अभी उन लोगों का टेंशन है। एक बार बात करूंगा। স্যার, কবে আপনাদের বাংলাদেশ ফেরার কথা ছিল?
আগামীকালকে ফেরার কথা, কিন্তু ফিরতে তো পারছি না, গাড়ি তো সব বন্ধ, নেটওয়ার্ক বন্ধ, যোগাযোগ বন্ধ আজ 3 দিন থেকে। এর জন্য আমরা আতঙ্কের মধ্যে আছি যে এই জিনিসটা ফয়সালা কবে হবে, ফয়সালা হলে হয়তো আমরা গাড়ি ঘোড়া চললে আমরা যেতে পারবো।
मैं पूछ रहा था कि उन लोगों का कब घर लौटने का बात था, वो बोल रहे हैं कि कल उनका घर लौटने का बात था, मगर अभी तक जो सिचुएशन है, घर के साथ कोई कांटेक्ट नहीं है, कोई इंटरनेट परिषेवा नहीं है और उसके साथ साथ ही घर लौटने का कोई बंदोबस्त भी नहीं है। अभी वो लोग सोच रहे हैं कि कब ये पूरा घटना शांत हो, बांग्लादेश शांत हो, उसके बाद ही वो घर लौट पाएंगे। और भी लोगों के साथ मैं बात करूंगा। दादा, आपका कौन से मकसद से वो आप कोलकाता आए थे, कब आए थे, এখন কি পরিকল্পনা, মানে পরবর্তীতে কি যাবেন?
গতকালকে আসি, তারপরে আগামীকালকে আর প্ল্যান আছে, কিন্তু যেতে পারবো কি বলতে পারছি না। পরিস্থিতি খারাপ, সারা দেশে ধরেন আপনার নেটওয়ার্ক বন্ধ, তারপর গন্ডগোল হয়েছে, অনেকে মারা গেছে, বুঝছেন, গাড়ি ঘোড়া চলছে না। তো এই পরিস্থিতি আসি, একটা আতঙ্কের ভিতরে আছে, 22-23 সব রয়েছে। তারপরে ধরেন ঔষধ ডাক্তার যে ট্রিটমেন্ট করার জন্য আসেছি, তো আগামীকালকে যাবো, যাওয়ার পরে এখন তার যেতে পারবো কি, এটা একটা আতঙ্কের ভিতরে আছে আর কি, দুশ্চিন্তার ভিতরে।
कल वो लोग कोलकाता आए थे, कोलकाता आने के बाद ट्रीटमेंट कराया, उसके बाद कल यानी अगले दिन उनका घर वापस जाने का प्लानिंग था, मगर ये अभी का जो सिचुएशन उनको मालूम पड़ा है उसके साथ वो कह रहे हैं कि उनको मालूम नहीं है कि कल घर पर जा पाएगा कि नहीं, घर का परिस्थिति क्या है वो भी मालूम नहीं। यानी बांग्लादेश का जो परिस्थिति, वो परिस्थिति को देखते हुए वो लोग अभी टेंशन में है कि किस तरीके से वो घर वापस जा पाएगा। मैं एक बार दिखाऊंगा, ठीक मेरे साथ और भी लोग खड़े हैं इधर, जो लोग बांग्लादेश से है। दादा আপনি কোথা থেকে এসেছেন?
শ্যামনগর থানার সাতক্ষীরা ডিস্ট্রিক্ট,
বাংলাদেশের।
বাংলাদেশে।
তো কবে এসেছিলেন?
আমি এক সপ্তাহ হচ্ছে আসছি।
এখন যা পরিস্থিতি তাতে কখন ফিরতে পারবেন বা কিভাবে ফিরতে পারবেন সেই নিয়ে কি চিন্তায় রয়েছেন?
অবশ্যই চিন্তা আছি, নির্দিষ্ট কোনো কিছু বোঝা যাচ্ছে না আর কি।
वो लोग कह रहे हैं कि एक हफ्ता पहले वो लोग आए थे, उसके बाद जो ट्रीटमेंट का प्रक्रिया, वो ट्रीटमेंट का प्रक्रिया की है, मगर वो लोग घर जब लौटेगा, किस तरीके से घर लौटेगा, क्या क्या परिकल्पना है, क्या क्या स्थिति है उधर का, वो उन लोगों को मालूम नहीं है। वो लोग चिंतित है कि किस तरीके से वो कोलकाता से बांग्लादेश में फिर से वापस जाए, यही टेंशन लेकर वो लोग बैठे हुए हैं और वेट कर रहे हैं कि कब बांग्लादेश का जो परिस्थिति, वो परिस्थिति शांत हो और वो लोग घर वापस जा पाए। कैमरा पर्सन अमित धनुक के साथ रोनित दत्तो, इंडिया न्यूज, कोलकाता।
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.